afternoon, everybody. Dan here. I'm not going to read the daily reflection today. I think today was going to tell little stories, I guess, about my past experiences, whatever the case may be. Um, this story is, I guess, how I got involved in selling crack cocaine um, and becoming addicted to crack cocaine. Um, So I was 17. I was 17 years old. Um, I just got done bouncing around, living on the streets a little bit, living with an aunt and uncle of mine in Kitsap County. Moved from there. Was gonna join the military, but I flaked out on the military because I had a girlfriend I thought I'd be with forever, and I blew that opportunity by getting a tattoo on the back of my neck. Back then, you couldn't have any tattoos showing, and then at the physical, I told them about my drug history, and I got the boot. So I was this close to joining the army. I wish I would have done it. But anyway, so my grandpa always had money. When I was out there before I needed money, he would give me money. I'd meet up with him. He'd give me $80, $100, whatever the case may be. That helped fund my addiction. So he got to a point he was too old, couldn't drive anymore. Oxygen tank, um, many years of being an alcoholic and an addict at certain points in his life took a toll on his health. So I moved in with him into this duplex, and I was taking care of him, sort of. He's the man that showed me how to boost things, I guess. I would always wonder why he'd come home with groceries in the trunk with no bags. He would get a cart and line it with toilet paper, paper towels, whatever, bigger items, and put all the stuff in the middle and just walk right out. You don't think a sweet old man with an oxygen tank is shoplifting a bunch of stuff, but he did. So he was heavily involved in the sale of cocaine, crack cocaine, which he was back in the 70s or 80s, which is why he went to prison in the first place at one point in his life. Got normal for a while, lived the straight and narrow, but then, not being old, not being able to work, he needed money, chose to go back to that life. So anyway, so I was 17, living with my grandpa. I'd ride with him. We'd follow these Mexicans around, a bunch of twists and turns and lefts and rights. And we'd finally come up to a stop sign, and Mexicans would hop out, run to his window, and throw some bunch of cocaine in his lap, and he'd give them the money. And it'd always be these balls, ounces of cocaine, smaller than a baseball, bigger than a golf ball, is how I would describe it. Just chunks. We'd go home, he would cook it in the microwave, and we'd sit and watch the baseball game as we're cutting up crack rocks. At this point, I've never tried crack before. Was never interested in it. It didn't appeal to me. The customer base was horrible looking. Um, Talking about sucking dick for fucking crack hits just didn't appeal to me. I thought, ugh, it just seemed like a dirty drug to me. But it made a lot of money. My grandpa would have me drive his car when he was home because he couldn't drive. He wasn't too mobile. He would have me drive and go park like on 56 and Portland Avenue, 64th in Yakima area. I'd go park for an hour or less. Crackheads would hop in and out of the car, give them what they wanted, give me the money, move to a different location, and I would do that for 5-6 hours in a day. Go back to Grandpa's, go back home, give him the money. He'd give me a little bit of it, like $20, $40. At 17, I was good with it. Um, I got the nickname the grocery boy because I would take certain ounces of cocaine to a lady in Tacoma off Alaskan Street. Older lady too. You wouldn't think dealt drugs. Would have big bags of marijuana, just ecstasy pills, just whatever. She'd give me an envelope full of cash to bring back to my grandpa. I'd give her 3-4 ounces of cocaine. And that was it. It was simple, right? One day, well, in the kitchen above the stove where it has the cabinets above the what do you call it, the vent or whatever, where you keep your cereal or your cooking oil, we'd have a plate with a mound of crack rocks at all times. Um, at all times. Um, so one of the times when I was selling it, I got make sure it's still on. I got curious and I asked one of the crackheads, hey, how do I smoke this? And they told me about the crack pipe, or they told me about the pop can way. I'm not going to go into how to do it because I don't want to. I just don't want to help educate anyone how to smoke crack. So I went home, got a pop can, fashioned it up to do it, put a little piece on there like I was told to, and I took a hit of it. Um, I felt amazingly good for about 45 seconds to a minute. That's all it lasts. It was new. I was comfortable again. For a man that's not comfortable in my own skin, I felt comfortable. Um, I felt warm. I felt good. And then it wore off. And then, guys, I'm not even lying to you. The fiending that came along with that was the worst I've ever felt in my life. You instantly fiend and crave for another hit, for that feeling again. And you'll almost do anything to get it. So don't get down too hard on crackheads because once they're stuck in that, they're stuck in that. So I got hooked on crack cocaine at 17, um, doing it daily. Didn't have to pay for it. Had an endless supply above the stove. I would just go there, grab 3 or 4 rocks, go back in my room, tell Grandpa I was taking a nap, tell him I'll be taking a shower. I'd have the water running and be in the bathroom just smoking. You have to smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke and smoke. There's no stopping. There's no breaks. There's no time to eat. I went days without eating, without showering, hiding in a dark room. Um, that was my only focus. I did that for 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months. The only way I would feel better getting after a few days of smoking crack would be to steal some of my grandfather's Xanax or something like that to kind of mellow me out. It was bad. It was real bad. Like that's a drug that terrifies the shit out of me is crack cocaine because it's so highly addictive, and you will sell your soul for a crack hit. I'm not even joking you. I tried it years later on in my life, in my mid 20s. Um, I would get a crack rock every now and again, and I'd smoke it, and that'd be the end of it. Last time I did it, I think I was early 30s to late 20s. Yeah, I went took a neighbor of mine to get an 8 ball of crack, and we were all kind of in a circle. There's like 4 of us, and I hit it like 3 times. It wasn't the same as I remember. I remember actually being able to step away from it and being like, "No, I'm good. I don't want any more." I just didn't like the whole scene of sitting around fucking swapping crack hits. I just felt grossed out. It didn't appeal to me anymore, and I left and left him there. He wanted to stay and keep smoking. I said, "I'm gonna go home," and that was it. That was the last time I ever touched it. I would never touch it again, and I don't suggest anybody out there to ever touch that shit because you will become instantly addicted. Um, Now, as for like physical withdrawals, I don't remember having any. I think for me, it was kind of like meth. You just sleep, eat, shower, and then you kind of the anxiety. I remember anxiety, like bouncing up and down, being agitated a lot, twitchy. You know what I mean? Shaking a lot. But as it's not like heroin withdrawals or fentanyl withdrawals, not even close. Um, and I did that for, like I said, about 4 months until my grandpa died. He died holding my hand. He had heart problems. He was retaining water. The day he died, I had an uncle of mine come over. He was just getting ready to kick my ass because I stole some money from my aunt, and he was like right in my face, ready to thump me. And he was a hitter back then. My uncle Wally, he was a thumper, man. Like I knew it was coming. All of a sudden, I hear my grandpa in the back room choking, making noises. So I went back there, and he was like choking. I don't know how to describe it, but he was clearly struggling, like dying, right? And I remember I grabbed his hand, and I'm like, Grandpa, you all right? You all right? And I was like, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. And I felt him squeeze my hand a little bit, but then I felt This breaks my heart thinking about it. When you feel somebody squeezing your hand, and then you feel them let go. It's almost like I felt his soul leave his body. Um, that sucked. That was hard. Um, my grandpa meant a lot to me. I know some people are gonna say, yeah, he wasn't a good grandpa, whatever. He was. Um, he didn't make the best choices. I, being a young man, didn't make the best choices. Um, but that was accepted in our family. Crime, drugs, alcohol. Um, that was what I was raised up on for the most part. Not my whole upbringing, but a lot of it. It was normal to us. That's the sad thing. It was normal to us. So he died that day. Earlier that day, we had the ambulance come because he was doing a similar thing. Um, they wanted to take him by ambulance. He didn't want to go. In his own words, he said he hasn't washed his ass yet. He doesn't want to go to the doctor until he takes a shower. Um, my grandpa was a funny man. He did a lot for people. He did a lot for the city of Puyallup. He owned the Crossbow Inn. It was a very respectable restaurant, bar, tavern, or whatever you want to call it. It's where everybody went until he got, arrested for selling cocaine. Which he also had my uncles, my aunt, my mom do at a young age at their parties. So once my grandfather died, the crack dried up. The plate got emptied. The cooking materials got scraped. Um, I found an ounce of cocaine on his dresser, behind his dresser after he died. I moved into that room. I tried cooking it myself. I didn't remember how to do it, so I did it. The baking soda, the water in the pan. Tried cooking it. It turned out to be a shit show, splattering everywhere. So then when it dried, I'm scraping off crack hits off the stove and off the pan and just ruined it, which is a good thing. But when that all dried up, um, I got sober off of it. Um, but another one of our roommates was selling meth at the time, crank back then. So I was still doing crank throughout this whole process as well. Um, my world started crumbling in. I decided to do something different. I was running out of options. I needed to move. I didn't know where I was going to go. I was 18. Um, so I went to a place. No, I was 19. Say that I was 19. Got more involved in crank and being a prankster gangster, all that bullshit. Um, I went to a place called Set Free. It was like an hour and a half away. It was a Christian discipleship program. I went there for 2 months, got sober. I was happiest I've ever been in a long time. More peace than I ever felt in my life. I got I got to know God and got a relationship with God. You went to church twice a day. We helped the community. I had a purpose. You lived there on site, and it was great. And I did that for 2 months. Got back out, moved back in with my mom, who was married to this absolutely horrible man, um, whose idea of being a man was how many people you can beat up, how many women you can sleep with, um, how you handled your drugs, um, like high on the food chain type deal. Um, not to be a caring, empathetic, loving, kind person, not at all. That wasn't a man to him. To me, that's what a man is. And you take care and you protect what's yours and what you love, not him. So as soon as I moved in with him, I was a Christian. He would call me a religious zealot. He would say I was wearing a religious coat because he didn't accept my change. And so, of course, back in the real world, I got influenced again and got right back into doing meth with him and my mom. And so, just shit show again. So, I'm going to cut it off from there. Um, that was my experience with crack cocaine. Um, a horrible, horrible, dark time in my life. There was no happiness in it whatsoever, not whatsoever. Um, God, when 9/11 happened, I remember waking up and I was smoking crack when that happened. Um, so when people say, "Do you remember where you were on 9/11?" Yeah, I was there. It was the day after my grandfather's funeral, actually, and I was sitting there smoking crack and just did a line of meth to wake up. So that's where I was, and yeah, just talking about that kind of stuff is hard sometimes because it brings me back, but it also takes the power out of it. I need to talk about these things. I need to get them off my chest. And if anybody out there got anything off out of that, then good. I hope you did. I hope you never, ever, ever try crack cocaine ever. Um, it's fucking horrible, and it'll literally steal your soul away. So, um, anyway, yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. 74 days sober today. I didn't get my coin last night. I went to the birthday meeting. We had food. I got terrified. It was a full house. You don't just get up and get your coin and get a hug. You got to go up there and speak. And that's where I was sweating. I was so embarrassed. That's still a hard thing for me to do. Talking to this is easy because I'm talking to a laptop. You know, although people will see it, it's different. You know, so I got scared, and I really regret not getting my coin. I will get it next time. There's still other birthday meetings, I believe, this month before the month is over. So yeah, I got scared. Um, so, anyways, I love y'all, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful rest of your day. And I will talk to y'all later.